Welcome back to MUSE on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on another awesome episode of MUSE on the Mic. We have an awesome episode we're doing today. So excited for today's topic. Riley, tell all the people what we're doing.
We are going to be watching and reacting to a video with you. It's a video by John Oliver, who is a host of Last Week Tonight. This video in particular is talking about sex work law, kind of previous, current, different parts of the world. It's fascinating. I watched it this morning. I was like, for a long video, it really kept my attention, especially being something about law that I was thinking, this is going to be boring. I was hooked. He's great to watch and really entertaining too.
I'm so excited to hear you say that because I saw this video a while ago. I know I've been mentioning it like pretty much since we started the podcast, being like, we have to do this episode. But we really wanted to give our listeners, people that don't know us, just kind of some history and context about who we are and what kind of brought us to this point and why we give a shit about sex work law altogether. And then how that applies to not just Canada, but Toronto, where we're located, and even down to our business, which for new listeners is a happy ending massage parlor in Toronto, Canada, that we've owned for like almost 15 years. So we're just going to talk about it today. I think John Oliver, whether you like him or hate him, I think he's engaging. I think he's an awesome storyteller. His humor keeps you going. And the way he breaks things down makes it really digestible. And I know law and nuance of law is not everybody's cup of tea, but he explains in a way that makes perfect sense. And we're going to kind of jump in a few times throughout the video and talk about, how that's related to us and our careers and our business and kind of the region of the world that we live in. So let's give people a big introduction to a very important piece of our lives. And it'll be the platform that we can like bounce off of for any other topic that's revolving around sex work law. We can be like, go back and watch that episode because it gives you all the history you need, all the jargon, all the lingo. I'm super pumped. Can you tell?
I agree. And a quick nod to Emily's outfit today. I love the hat. Well done.
Yeah.
It looks so cute.
I love it. Merch is coming, guys. We're like all merched out today.
As usual.
A few minutes later.
It's because Canada in 2014 took on the Nordic model. And now that we're in 2024, I feel like we've been able to see kind of the repercussions of it, the effects of it. I think we are very lucky that it affects us in a minimal way in terms of our day-to-day life. It did take some adjustments in terms of our business function and structure, and like some back-end things and stuff like that when it first went into law. But there are already from year one, there was court cases that immediately went to trial and are in appeals back and forth. It's a long, slow process here, just like it is in America. But the effects are horrific for street workers. And it's because it's not just the jittery client. It's that the quality of clientele drops drastically. And that's counterproductive when you're literally eliminating the good guys, flooding the market with the shady characters, because someone who has a lot to lose isn't going to risk being Robert Kraft caught in a massage parlor and blasted across the news. They're going to find other ways of going about their business, which they do, right? There's a lot less monitoring of high-end escorts than there is of street-level sex work, right? So for the street-level worker, you're taking away the potential good Johns, and you are flooding the market with people that don't have much to lose at all. And that makes negotiating, screening, condom use, safe health practices, etc., almost impossible for the workers. It also changed advertising, not just the loss of back pages and Craigslist. A worker here is allowed to sell sex. They're allowed to provide that service, to hire a bookkeeper, a booker, a receptionist, an accountant, a driver, normal things like that. Sounds great, right? Except those accountants, drivers, bookers, etc., can all be arrested and criminally charged for participating in someone else's sex work. It also made advertising illegal. So you find sneakier and shadier ways of girls trying to advertise their services. And finding knockoff websites like Backpages, Leo's List, etc., is one of them. But again, the quality of clientele drastically drops because of the risks involved for the customers. Now, we're blessed to be under an umbrella of licensing, which gives us a level and layer of protection. We're also not a brothel, and it's weird because law doesn't nuance the services. In Toronto, in a Supreme Court case of Ontario, they deemed a hand job not a sexual service. So that allows us to skirt a little bit more in between what is legal and what is not legal and operate as open and licensed and legitimately as we do. It's a very different story for agency owners, whether they're low-end agency, high-end agency. Strip clubs have been going through it, even though they're licensed as well. They have different protections under liquor laws. So like there's so much nuance and down just the generalization of it so people can digest it a little bit. But just imagine for our listeners, if you're in any kind of business and it's legal for you to be a plumber, you're allowed to plumb, but any client that buys your plumbing services is committing a federal crime. You can't advertise your plumbing company. You can't advertise through a business card that you are a plumber. You can't hire an apprentice because they might be criminally charged, even though it's legal for them to apprentice for you. Like, and so on and so on and so on. It's really insanity to think that any job or any function would ever be able to continue long term like that. It's actually the most ass backwards law structure that I've ever come across. And it's horrible. And we are still fighting the long and good fight. My guess is it'll be another 10 years through appeals before it gets back to the Supreme Court. And then it's up to the Supreme Court of Canada to either pass it back to lawmakers to fix or to make it law of the land. And that means starting all the way at the beginning of the legal process, scratch. So that's the state of affairs in this country, up in the good old white north. It's chaos.
You're so passionate about this topic, and I think if it does go back to the court, somehow, I just have a feeling you're going to be involved in this process.
You know I will, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
The spotlight's going to go right on me.
I
You
hope
know,
so.
it was a moment of peace in terms of our hater coalition and all the attacks on specifically Emily, because the fact that our competitors had outed me and put me into this face forward position, which I rightfully grabbed onto and ran with once getting over the trauma. I felt like I had a duty because no one else was going to speak up for our industry. There was no other, and that's a lie, actually. There's one other parlor owner